Yes. I mean, I think I know what you're saying, which is I do think markets are getting a little desensitized.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And I think part of it is if someone had an investor hat on, not tactical hat, you know, really good opportunities are emerging because the number of stocks below the 200-day moving average was like 15%. Historically, that's a strong buy signal. I mean, you're going to find a lot of bargains there. And the VIX got above 50, and it almost always pays you to buy the stocks when VIX is above 50. But in the near term, it's a roller coaster. I mean, it does feel like we're having a lot of zigs and zags, and even over the weekend. But to me, I think everything that happened over the weekend, including the Sunday further explanations, all of this is still unequivocally positive for stocks.
Interesting. So when we were below 5,000 and you were on the S&P and you were at 7,100, that's like 40%. So you're now, and were you high, one of the high people on the street at 7,100? Were you there?
Well, our year end originally was 6,600, but we thought we could touch 7,000 mid-year. I think the 6,600 is still possible, but I do think the 7,100 mid-year is obviously it'd be very difficult to reach.
So
but it's possible.
6,600 by year end. What about you've made a lot of good calls based on moderating inflation. What did you make those numbers at the end of the week?
Well, I think that if we didn't have to consider tariffs, inflation is definitely tracking below expectations.
I mean, where the Fed wants it, almost.
Yeah. I mean, core inflation month over month at 0.00056. I mean, that's like literally hitting a wall.
Now, is that for good reasons or for bad reasons?
I think it's for the right reasons because...
Oil?
Yeah, well, there's oil and foods off the boil, but it really is shelter is actually cooling to a 2% rate, and that is what you need to get inflation back down to 2.
Do you, at this point, foresee the worst-case scenario in terms of dollar declines, 10-year yields due to people not... The Journal had an interesting piece today that it doesn't need to be that people just abandon the dollar and abandon the United States to invest in. It's just on the margin, because it's a given that you cannot ignore the United States as the elephant in the room globally for all these things, for the, the currency, investments. But on the margin, it could make a big difference if there was even a slight lessening of what we were used to.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is the narrative at the moment, that U.S. exceptionalism's over and people are selling treasuries and dollars to buy other assets. But I'm not in that camp that it's sustainable, because unless weaker dollar and higher yields suddenly makes the best companies in the world outside the U.S., the best and the most important companies in the world are American companies. They've produced the best shareholder returns. And, if you look at the S&P, 40% of the returns of the S&P come from new companies every 10 years. Is there going to be suddenly the best new company coming out of Europe instead of the U.S. because of the dollar? And I doubt it. And I think U.S. companies are going to adapt.
Nvidia holders, get ready for some exciting news that is sure to bring you some hope amid market uncertainty. Nvidia just made a groundbreaking move that will change the stock's performance heavily. The leading companies involved in this monumental venture include Nvidia, TSMC, Foxconn, Wistron, Amkor, and SPIL. This news is set to revolutionize the landscape of AI supercomputers in the U.S. without giving away too many details just yet. Welcome back, everyone, to Investocracy.
Let us kick off this big hour with one of the world's biggest companies making a big-time commitment, and that is Nvidia. Nvidia finally unveiling exactly where and when it's going to be investing hundreds of millions of dollars in American manufacturing. Dare we say, it's a feel-good story. But it's also an important one for maybe the most important stock in the world. Let's talk about it, the kickoff power lunch with Christina Partsinevelos joining us from the NASDAQ. And yes, this does appear, Christina, to be not only big news, but a little bit of good news.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. And the president is celebrating that. But as the White House's semiconductor tariff investigation gets underway and they determine what they're going to charge chip companies, NVIDIA announced plans today to establish over 1 million square feet of manufacturing space in the United States. There's that feel-good story. The tech giant is going to produce Blackwell chips in Arizona and build AI supercomputers in Texas through partnerships with Foxconn and Wistron. With these facilities, it's expected to be operational within about 12 to 15 months. And this move is really part of NVIDIA's previously announced $500 billion AI infrastructure investment over 4 years. Though when first revealed, it was last month, if I recall, the details were limited. It's still not entirely clear, Brian, how much AI manufacturing will actually relocate to American soil, given that the semiconductor supply chain remains predominantly centered in Asia and is incredibly complex, which was in that NVIDIA blog post today. The Trump administration, though, views this development as validation of its tariff strategy. President Trump shared the news on Truth Social and stated, also from the Oval Office this morning, the higher the tariff, the faster they come, pretty much referring to manufacturers establishing domestic operations, or promising to do so. TSMC is making similar commitments with its pledge of an additional $100 billion investment, while Apple is committed $500 billion over the next 4 years. These actions may establish a new precedent for how technology companies respond to current trade pressures. Lobby the president to get exempted. The winners will likely be semiconductor companies or hardware firms that can rapidly shift production to U.S. soil while securing favorable exemptions through their promised domestic investments. Brian.
Okay, not to bring politics into this or leave it out, because that's what I'd prefer to do, to be honest, Christina, but I've got to imagine these kinds of capital commitments are not made in a matter of weeks. These must be multi-month or multi-quarter or multi-year type plans. I wonder if they're bigger than any president. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's interesting how all of these promises are over a 4-year term, right? To your point, Foxconn and Wistron are already established manufacturing hubs. It's just a question as to how advanced they can produce to really be at the level that NVIDIA needs. For TSMC has said, the Taiwanese minister did say in Taiwan that the plant here in the United States is not going to be the most advanced. So you have to keep in mind, too, that companies like Nvidia or AMD may not be able to even produce on American soil if the technology isn't as advanced as they need, especially when they're putting out chips on an annual cadence. And these fabs can take anywhere between 3 and 5 years to build. They have to get exemptions. They have to get licenses. They need to find the talent, which I don't think we preface enough. TSMC Arizona is a great example. I was there 2 years ago interviewing the president of TSMC Arizona, and the topic of the interview was the fact that they had to fly in so many workers from Taiwan. His argument was that Americans were not skilled enough to work with advanced equipment makers like ASML, so they had to fly in people. So is that going to be the case for all of these other promises?
Well, very quickly, how much of this is also maybe just let's not have everything in Taiwan for obvious reasons?
Right. And a lot of manufacturers have already been switching their production and manufacturing to Mexico. Cisco is a great example, too. They've been doing that for several years. So this is an opportunity to get the ball rolling, but we need to be realistic about the timeline.
When it comes to Nvidia, it seems like they're hitting the jackpot with their latest plans. Nvidia recently made headlines by disclosing its partnership with key manufacturing players to establish cutting-edge factories in the U.S. for the first time, solely dedicated to producing Nvidia AI supercomputers. These factories will be manufacturing Nvidia Blackwell chips, making a significant mark in the industry. Nvidia is expected to produce AI infrastructure worth more than $500 billion. But before going on with the video, are you into cryptocurrency? If so, check out our second channel, Investocracy Crypto. We bring you breaking news, expert analysis, and the latest trends in the fast-moving world of digital assets. Whether you're a seasoned crypto investor or just curious about the future of finance, we've got something for you. Click the link in the description to subscribe to Investocracy Crypto now. Don't miss out and stay ahead of the game. Now, let's get back to the video.
Question, please. Mr. President, thank you so much. You scored another major investment win this morning when NVIDIA pledged to build its AI supercomputer, the first time ever, right here in the United States.
Thank you. That's a question I like. That's true.
What is your reaction to this announcement, sir, and how will this positively benefit Americans across the Americas?
Well, it's one of the biggest announcements you'll ever hear, because NVIDIA, as you know, controls that almost the entire sector, which is one of the most important sectors in the world, between chips and semiconductors and everything else. And they're the biggest. And the other biggest we already have coming in is spending $300 billion, as you know. They announced 2 weeks ago. But NVIDIA is so highly respected. And this was an announcement that a lot of people, I knew it was going to happen, but not to the extent that it happened. It's big. And the reason they did it is because of the election on November 5th and because of a thing called tariffs. As I say, the most beautiful word in the dictionary. After love, God, relationship. The press actually hit me and said, tariff is the most beautiful word in the dictionary. What about family, love, God? So I got hit even on that. You understand? I said, okay. So now I say it's my 5th most favorite word because they get you on anything. But no, that NVIDIA, it's one of the great companies of the world, modern, super modern companies, controls segments that nobody, sort of controls the world in a sense, and they're coming in here in the biggest way with hundreds of billions of dollars. Not like millions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, and I'm honored by it. And I want to thank Jensen and all of the people that we deal with. They're great people, they're brilliant people. And without tariffs, they wouldn't be doing it.
President Donald Trump himself couldn't contain his enthusiasm about the news during a recent meeting, emphasizing the importance of NVIDIA's role in the semiconductor sector. This move is not just about profits, but also about reinforcing domestic manufacturing and enhancing supply chain resilience. With plans to create hundreds of thousands of jobs and drive trillions of dollars in economic security, NVIDIA is not just building AI factories, but shaping the future of technology. Jensen Huang, NVIDIA's visionary founder and CEO, is leading the charge towards a new era of AI infrastructure, powered by innovation and American manufacturing. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
Meta and Nvidia, right? I mean, just given what's happening.
Trades. I have a core position in Meta that I've not cut back. It was a trade, and I could tell you right now, with the stock where it is, I'm probably stopped out of it. Nvidia, I'm not stopped out yet, but it's a trade, because I still believe that this is not the environment where the market should be priced at 20 times.
I know, but I mean, look, I'm guessing, when you tell me, it just seems obvious to me. You did not buy more of Meta and Nvidia today, or whenever it was.
No, not today.
Thinking that you were going to have a rollover in some of those names now.
No, definitely not.
Halfway into the trading day today, as tactically as you are, that would scream to me like, wow, I'm kind of surprised by the roll in those names so quickly today.
Right, but before the show, I did say to you and Joe that I'm short the Qs. So I've been 75% cash since inauguration day, pretty much. And guess what? Every sale's been a good sale, actually a great sale. But I'm suffering because I've got such beta in the names that I own that hurts me more than the market going down 5%. I could be down 10% in those names. But I'm good with them for the long term. But return is defined by point of entry first. So I think, given my view, which is that the market should trade to a historic multiple of 16 times, I see 4,000 to 4,500 on the S&P.
Well, and by the way, as Patty Martell on our production team just sent to me, Jan Hatzius has just put out a new note. Quote, in part because of these uncertainties and in part because it is unclear how the U.S. economy will cope with the dramatic increase in uncertainty, we still peg the probability of a full-blown recession over the next 12 months at 45%. So remember, he had raised the probability of recession, and then there was the pivot by the administration, and he pulled it back.
Joe, let me finish one more point, just to follow up, just to conclude. So we talked last week that as you see, Trump surrender on a number of points and try to get back to rationalization, which is still a long way to go, that those headlines would drive the market higher because the worst case is embedded in the market, which is what you guys are saying, basically. I don't agree. However, I think, given today, we're reaching the point of exhaustion on those headlines.
Nvidia's move is not just a game changer, but a game starter for the AI industry. It's a call to investors to pay attention and consider the immense potential this development holds. Looking ahead, the forecasts for the stock market position of Nvidia are nothing short of promising. With the trajectory set by their ambitious plans, the stock will likely see significant growth and stability soon. How do you think these plans will impact Nvidia's upcoming performance in the stock market? Let us know your thoughts on these significant plans below. Finally, if you would like to know what companies like Nvidia have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.